What up, what up? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. On this show, we talk about everything crowdfunding, and specifically, we dial into what is working right now when it comes to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, e-commerce, equity crowdfunding. You hear it all here, folks. And as you know, one of the things I love to do is just share with you cutting-edge new techniques and things that are working that you might just not have come across, honestly. You're a busy guy, you're a busy gal. I know how it is. And I try to share that with you so you can execute on this and move closer towards your goals. I think for me, one of the greatest kind of compliments is when I have someone who has been successful on a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or another kind of campaign, and they come back on this show. And you can actually see that in the archives. If you go back and listen to the archives of this show, I've been doing this since 2015, got a lot of episodes out there, crowdfunding gold. We're printing it every day, folks, when it comes to that. A lot of good episodes, man. A lot of incredible products. And that today's no exception. I mean, today's guest, I think to me, if I was to hear about this from like a random friend or neighbor or something like that, I'd be like, no way, really can't believe that this was successful. So this individual was able to run a successful crowdfunding campaign, not only one, but multiple. And this is his fourth campaign. His first campaign got over 1,500 backers. His second one over 2,000. 2,000 is third. And this campaign we're talking about today has raised over $320,000 from more than 2,000 backers. And this is for a DIY AI-powered smart robot car. It's called CircuitMess Batmobile. It's basically this kit that will teach you about autonomous driving, machine learning, and all that kind of cool stuff. I think that not only is it exciting, but it was funded in literally 2 hours. 2 hours, folks. So first of all, this is a great lesson to me in the fact that anyone out there can be successful. If you got an idea, if you got a project, if you got a product that you've been working on, a prototype of some kind, and you want to launch a campaign, the only thing that is holding you back is you. This is a great example. Today's episode, today's interview shows that even if you're in kind of more of like an offbeat category where it's like, oh, I'm doing this new AI-powered machine learning STEM kit that teaches you about autonomous driving. You hear about that, you're like, okay, that sounds interesting, but what could it really do? Raise $320,000 for this, over 2,000 backers, and still 17 days to go at the time I'm recording this. So it's probably going to do a heck of a lot more than that, honestly. If you were to hear about this and you think of, man, I wish I did that. I wish I took action. I wish that I put my idea out there for the world to support, to fund, to bring into existence. The only thing that is stopping you is you. Listen to the other episodes, my friend. Listen to the examples of success, the case studies that we have on of people who will do this from ages 18. I think the oldest, or at least the most elderly gentleman I've had on my show was probably around 65 or 70. So this is happening across ages. This is happening all over the world. This is happening different socioeconomic demographics and from many different types of products, from ideas, from engineers, innovators, creators, etc., entrepreneurs. This is happening. So if you'd like to kind of get started with running one of these campaigns, I'm going to give you a link where you can join my newsletter, which I send out weekly, and I share with you just some of my cutting edge tips and techniques and things that can be useful for you, and it's completely free. So this is like incredible value delivered straight to your inbox, and it's free. If you want to sign up for that, all you got to do is go to the link I'm about to mention. You can go to crowdcrux.com/newsletter. That link is crowdcrux.com/newsletter. crowdcrux.com/newsletter. You'll get my killer crowdfunding tips delivered straight to your inbox, and you can really cut, I think, down a lot of time, honestly, just trying to share and trying to figure out all this stuff for you online. That being said, at the end of the show, stick around. I'm going to share with you a way you can work one-on-one with me if you're interested. But without further ado, let's get into today's podcast episode. If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured, I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist. fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we're speaking with an incredible creator who's attracted more than 2,000 backers, raised over 300K for CircuitMess Batmobile, a DIY AI-powered smart robot car. And we're privileged enough to have the creator here on the show. We're speaking to him right now. Albert, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for your invitation. Wow, that was quite an intro.
Definitely, man. Do you think you could start? Maybe you could just tell the creators in the audience, the backers in the audience, a bit about your history. It looks like you've created a few different projects. You could just share a little bit there.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, my name is Albert. I'm an entrepreneur from Croatia, and I have had four very successful Kickstarter campaigns. I actually decided to drop out of college when I was 18 because of a Kickstarter campaign. And my first campaign was named Maker Bueno. It was a game console that you assemble yourself and code and learn about electronics. It had raised $100,000 on Kickstarter. The second one was called Maker Phone, and it was a mobile phone that you assemble yourself, similar to Maker Bueno, but a bit more advanced and different. And Maker Phone, it raised $300,000. And the third campaign was called CircuitMess Box, and it was a subscription service where people subscribe and get a new DIY kit that teaches them about technology every 3 months. And that one has raised $400,000. And this one is my latest and greatest Kickstarter so far. Maybe I should say a few words about CircuitMess Batmobile if that's fine with you.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, congratulations on all of that success, and for you to also drop out
Thank
of
you.
school due to Kickstarter. That's insane, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's it's a long story, so this is it's a bit of an overkill to just say that I have dropped out of school because of Kickstarter, but in a way it's true because I was actually 18 when I made my first campaign, and I didn't have a company or anything. I was still in high school, and it was very successful, at least for my view of success. And it has generated $100,000 of sales, and it was a big deal for me because I've seen that people from all around the world, random strangers, they have been supporting the campaign, and this has actually proven me that there is a market for what I've been building, and that it's not something that is just going to remain a hobby for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I basically decided to drop out of college and pursue my dream of becoming an entrepreneur and turning my hobby into a business. So yeah, crowdfunding has been a very big deal for me from the very beginning. Yeah.
And for you, where's the inspiration come from? Is it that you love technology and you love teaching that and showing people how to use these skills? Is it that you just kind of like coming out with new stuff? Like, where does that come from?
When I was very young, like when I was 7 or 8 years old, my father started giving me and my brother some interesting ways to play. So, an example, like he wasn't really a fan of normal toys. I mean, sure, he would buy us Legos, but what I was usually much more interested in was taking apart kitchen appliances, and like we never threw away any kind of a device from our house without disassembling it first. So that was
Mm,
very important for me. And then when I started going to school, I was pretty much bored because I was, just given textbooks, and I was just memorizing stuff like all the other students. And I was writing exams, and I didn't have a chance to do anything with my hands. I was so frustrated with that. And here in Croatia, and our fifth grade, so when you are 12 years old, no, sorry, 11 years old, you get this subject which is called something like engineering, where you're supposed to like learn about technology and machines, and all the interesting stuff in there. And this, instead of giving us like a screwdriver to actually do something with our hands, they would give us textbooks as well. And I was reading about the parts of a machine from a textbook, and I was so bored. And then after I would get home after school, I would take apart some kind of a device, and I started building my own devices. So basically, with these projects that I'm doing, I'm really solving my own issue. In fact, an issue of me as a child. I'm trying to redefine and reimagine the way we teach children about technology, because I think there is a big issue there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, totally. I think a lot of kids as well are much more hands on, right? and they really want to learn about
Yeah.
it and doing it at the same time.
It's not that everyone needs to be an engineer today. I mean, that's usually a common mistake. Everyone needs to be an engineer. But the thing is that still, there's a big issue in the educational system as a whole, on a global scale, like in not just in Croatia and not just in the US, not just in Europe. There's an issue with the way we teach children about things, is that we are making it so boring. Like we make children read textbooks and memorize things, and we don't allow them to play and actually have some before they grow old and boring.
For sure, for
So
sure.
that's why I wanted to create devices that are going to be fun and joyful, and that they are going to bring enjoyment to other people's lives. That's how these devices came to be.
Love it, man. So when it comes to Kickstarter, you've seen obviously a few different trends and iterations on the platform. What are some of the things you've learned about doing a Kickstarter campaign that you would want to pass on to other creators in the audience? They're just kind of getting started in the same way.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, there's quite a lot of things. So I would probably say, like, if you have some kind of an idea and you're trying to crowdfund it, I would probably say it's a good thing to talk with as many people as you can and show it to as many people as you can before you launch a crowdfunding campaign or something. Because I didn't really take my first prototype and put it out there on Kickstarter. I was going to fairs and conferences, and I was just showing it all around. I didn't keep it a secret because I wanted to hear other people's feedback. I wanted to hear what they liked and what they disliked about the product, and based on that experience I created my first campaign. And the other thing would be, so when people are creating a Kickstarter campaign, they usually think that they need to invest a ton of money, on video production, and they need to hire a designer, they need to hire someone who's going to make their product look pretty. And I think that there's quite a lot that you can do yourself, and maybe like if you are on a shoestring budget, you don't really need big agency that you're going to pay $20,000 to do something for you. You can do it yourself,
Yeah.
especially if you are, bootstrapping.
Yeah, so definitely you can still bootstrap it. You can get feedback from friends and family and other people to see if this is the path that you want to go down. It sounds like that was important for you in the early stages, at least.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not just friends and family, but people, random people that, like, I was going to conferences like every few months before the campaign started because I wanted to get as much feedback as possible, from just random people that would be interested in these kind of things. I was mainly going to like maker fairs where usually people come and display this kind of stuff, and yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So aside from basically getting feedback and making sure that you have a stellar page, are there any other elements that you would encourage people to focus on when it comes to making sure that they really have their best bet right going when it comes to launch and making sure that they make the best time when it comes to being on the platform?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I have lots of advice. This is my fourth campaign. So I would say this. So it's very important not to keep your project a secret. I mean, maybe you can just tease it and not show everything, but I think it's very, very important that you start talking about your product before the campaign, In fact, like you must start doing it like months in advance. Even if you are not prepared, you can just, write your product name on a web page, and then just make some kind of a newsletter subscribe page which you're going to send to people. And then, like, you're growing this audience of people. And what I figured out that works very well is for every single mine campaigns, I did this page where people would subscribe to a newsletter, but a lot of them, would just forget about the project until, we launched. And for this latest project for CircuitMess Batmobile, I have come up with an idea like, why don't we create some kind of a channel where we're going to engage those potential customers. So we have created a Facebook group and a Discord channel, and we have invited all of those people, and we have like been inviting them as soon as they subscribe. You invite them to this channel, and in the channel, you encourage them, to talk with you. You show them that you are a real person, that you care about their feedback. You make them feel like they are a part of this exclusive group, which is basically what they are. They are your potential early adopters. And then, when you are launching the campaign, they are all so hyped about the product and about the launch. They want to back it as soon as they can. That's the effect that I have been trying to get with this.
Do you think it's as much as they care about the creator as much as the product kind of thing?
I think it is. I think it's really important. Not everyone would agree with me, I guess, but I'm completely biased because in every single one of my campaigns, I have been putting the product as much as I have been putting myself on the spotlight. Because I really feel that in my example, people are backing this project partially because it's a good product, but also like a big part of their motivation is probably because they want to support me as a creator and my story, and they want to connect with me, and they find it really interesting what I'm trying to build here. Yeah.
Is this as easy as you doing like a live or putting out a video, or are you actually chatting one on one with people in like this Discord group? Like, how do you facilitate that?
Yeah, I mean it's completely not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's very time consuming, and it's very, yeah. Let's just say it's very time consuming. I'm basically, I'm trying to maintain this connection with our backers, and I'm not doing this alone anymore. I have started as a single person company, one man band when I was 18, and over the years I have actually grown this company to a 23 people operation, and that was all by bootstrapping. So that's very impressive in my opinion. But still, like currently, I have 23 people working on many different segments of our business. But still, I am trying to read basically every single like message support ticket that comes from our customers. And trying to, maybe I can't really answer all of them, but I'm trying to maintain a connection with them, and I can really see that it's completely different when people are talking with you and as the main guy behind the project, as the main face, behind the product, the one who's in the video, compared to when they are talking like my, for example, colleagues who
Yeah.
they might not know as much, because when they are talking with me, I think I have a feeling that they are, they act like they are talking with a real person. And,
Yeah, yeah,
if,
yeah.
if they are talking with CircuitMess, then they are going to act and not really care about the brand. They're going to perceive us as, I don't know, like Apple, or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a brand with no face.
I think a lot of people, one of their big sticking points is like, okay, so that makes sense, but I don't know what to say, right? Are you just putting out like prototype photos and that kind of stuff leading up to it?
Yeah, that's usually what people ask. Like, I don't know what to say, and it's so simple. Just tell them genuinely how the project is going, and tell them what's happening. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them the way you feel. If there is some kind of an issue, tell them that there is an issue with the project. If there is a lot of hype going around the project and you're so hyped, tell them that you're hyped, and just genuinely talk about the project. And in my experience, the best performing content was usually the one that I wasn't really preparing for. It's usually something. It was usually something that was organic. Like I take a photo of me doing something in the office or of something else happening in the office, and people just feel that they are a part of the team. As almost as if they were here with me, creating this project. That's
Yeah, I love that, man. That's so cool. Like they're getting me a little bit of a slice of your life and they get to know your values and who you are. And it feels cool. Like I'm sure just being a
yeah.
part of the project, it feels like they're on your team,
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
said.
And it is. And also, like, for example, I have people that have been following me for like almost 4.5 years now. So I have a portion of super loyal fans, that I would basically consider friends, by this point. I mean, I have never met most of them. Some of them I have, like on conferences and stuff. But, it's very funny, how you can actually make people care very much for your product and your brand. And I basically, at this point, I have a feeling that some of those people will buy any single thing that I put out there because they just so much want to see CircuitMess and like this whole story that I'm building. They so much want to see it succeed.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So one of the other things that we've kind of been controversial on the show is some people find that putting people through like a reservation kind of a system works. Other people find it doesn't. What was your experience like that when you were doing your launch? Did you find that to be useful? Is that something you'd recommend? What are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, it is quite controversial, and for a reason. There's quite a lot of mixed feedback, and quite a lot of mixed results. And I was actually, this was my first time doing a reservation, so for CircuitMess Batmobile. So this was a very new thing for us. For us, it worked great. It worked amazingly well. It has made us generate $100,000 in the first 24 hours, like an amazing amount of money in that much of this, in that short time. So it was working very well. But on the other hand, we did put quite a lot of effort into engaging, those customers and talking with them as much as possible. And as I said, we had these Discord channels and Facebook groups. And I really think that, getting a lot of pledges on day one isn't the only benefit of doing reservations. Like in our case, I was actually getting quite a lot of very good feedback from that community that I have created. Like many times, we would have questions and like we didn't know how to price something. We didn't know how the customers were going to react. And the answer was usually simple. You just create a poll, you make, a number of choices and you just ask people. And that makes your life so much easier because someone else actually basically decides for you. And it's going to be like 90% right because you have a lot of people in there. So that was good. On the other hand, the thing that wasn't good is so Kickstarter doesn't really support reservations natively in a way that it doesn't really have a feature that's going to handle them automatically. So there was quite a lot of, like, for example, we were doing reservations in a way that we've sent this menu to people, and on the menu you would have you had different perks with special prices just for the people that have reserved, and they had to memorize this value of the perk and enter it when buying this $1 perk on the campaign. And there was quite a lot of misunderstanding there, quite a lot of people that didn't really get it right. And I understand why, because it's not really a straightforward process. And so we had to do lots of manual checking and reaching out to people and supporting people. So yeah, that was something that was not really
Yeah,
what I was
took more
happy with.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that makes
Yeah.
a lot. So pros and cons, obviously. Pro being you make people jump through a hoop and pay in order to reserve one of these special items. Con being it takes a lot of back end work in order to set it up. It sounds like.
Yeah, but also like a pro of having a really engaged, prospected community of people, like because
Yeah,
that
definitely.
people that have pledged $1 that have paid $1 to actually reserve their price, that those people are going to be very much engaged when you invite them to a Facebook group or something.
Got it. Makes sense. It sounds like, well, first of all, when it comes to the product and the results you're seeing, is it still the feeling like you feel nervous when you're going out there and you're doing one of these campaigns? Or at this point, is it like, I got this, man. I know everything. I got all the tricks in the bag, right?
So much nervous. I thought that it was going to be easier by campaign number 4, but still the amount of adrenaline and anxiety and like you don't know what's going to happen because with every single campaign, I'm not really sure how well it's going to perform until I hit launch, and like it's almost like everyone is holding their breath until the campaign launches and there's so many things that can go wrong, that you are aware of. So, it's still a very big, it's still an adrenaline rush, and like the whole campaign is also a big emotional roller coaster because your campaign lasts for, a certain amount of days. And like on some days, you have lots of new backers coming in. On some days you don't. On some days people even cancel because you don't do something right, or maybe like Christmas comes, so people want to buy their Christmas presents, so they cancel the
Pledge.
pledges on your
Yeah.
project. So there's still it's not like I got this, man. But on the other hand, I really feel that with every single campaign, I am getting better. So like practice really does make perfect.
Very cool.
That's what I think. And I have spent a tremendous amount of time supporting campaigns and watching other projects, and it's really cool. I really love crowdfunding and like Kickstarter and Indiegogo in general because there are so many great creators out there. I have gotten to meet, a lot of them in person on different occasions, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. No, one of the other things that stood out to me just looking through your campaign is that you've worked with a lot of partners, right, on this
Oh
project.
yeah,
Do you have
oh yeah.
any thoughts on that or any advice you would like to pass on to creators in the audience on that one?
So I wouldn't really, since the campaign is still live, I wouldn't really share, the results or how satisfied we were with any of the partners. By the way, just for the audience to understand, when you say partners, I suppose you are meaning you're thinking about the agencies that were doing ads for us at marketing, right?
Yeah, marketing agencies. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, my strategy here was to work with basically every single agency out there to see how and which ones are going to perform best. I wanted to do like some kind of, I don't know, like a competition, I guess, between them to see how this is going to work. So my advice here, so I don't know, maybe we should wait to the till the end of the campaign before I give you any like info
Final.
on
Yeah.
that. But I would just say that working with a lot of different agencies wasn't really the best choice because they are all hunting the same people and it wasn't really performing in a way that I thought would perform. And also the second thing is there is this thing that they are doing with surveys where they send surveys and people, if people, fill out the survey, then it helps them, prospect people. And basically the agency that is sending those surveys is going to have the best performance. And I didn't really know that before now. And a lot of things have been changing like in the past year or so because with everything happening with the iOS updates and the constant changes in the advertising space, I can for sure say that it's much harder to do Facebook ads now than what it was like in 2020 or 2019 or 2018. Like it was much easier back then.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially with all those technology changes and people not wanting to be tracked, I can understand that for sure.
It's changing all the time. Like it's a nightmare for those agencies and for small entrepreneurs. I mean, I'm also like against tracking and harvesting people's data and stuff like that. But still, the amount of changes that's happening in this very short time span, it just shows us that we're so reliant on those big technology companies like Facebook or Google or and like I mean those two. And like if they make a change, the whole world changes. We're so dependent on that. Like it's a big monopoly. It's not good in my opinion, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like you need to use it, and you hate that you have to use it, right? At the same time, kind of thing.
I wouldn't say that I hate to use it, but it's a bit scary, when you it's a bit scary when like 80% of your company's revenue depends on the performance of ads on a single social media channel. And that's the way it works with most businesses. Like most businesses generate 80% of their revenue from Facebook ads, And if, for example, Facebook decides to shut down ads, is going to make a huge impact on anyone. I mean, people are going to lose their jobs, and like it's going to create a big hole in the space, which is probably going to be filled with other companies.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
But
100%.
anyways,
Yeah, I mean, I completely, empathize with that. I think, we'll figure it out as we go. I think TikTok ads are also really interesting, something
yeah, they are,
to try
but
out in the
still they
future.
are not. They are not, supported in quite a lot of countries.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you take a look, like I mean, it's supported in the U.S., but if you take a look at the list of supported countries, it's not really a big list. There's quite a lot of countries that don't support TikTok ads. In fact, where TikTok doesn't show ads. Yeah. And also, like one other thing that I want to say about this topic, since we have started it, is this feeling of insignificance is really hard because you are watching all of these changes happening, like with advertising, and Facebook and Google and stuff like that, and you don't really have the power to do anything. You just must adapt to it. And it's the same with the supply chain issues, with the semiconductor crisis. You don't really have a vote in there. You can't really do anything. You just need to adapt, and try to do your best. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So when it comes to, I just have one or two more questions here. When it comes to growing your
Sure.
business, moving from the creator to now the business owner, what is that like? Do you have to kind of step more into a leadership position and be more aware of delegation and
Yeah.
such? What was that process like?
Oh yeah, that process. I would say that it still is an ongoing process, and it's the hardest thing that I have been doing and that I have done in my life. Switching from being a creative guy that just tinkers with wires and does some code to someone who needs to be highly organized, effective, good with people, it's not, an easy task, But on the other hand, it was a huge advantage for me that I was, I was doing everything myself at first. I was packing boxes, I was doing electronics, I was doing sales and like customer service. I was doing everything. So I have really, grasped every single aspect of this company that's, going to become, in a couple of years. So I was basically, giving away chunks of my job and growing it steadily. And this whole process, it's both fascinating and amazing and very terrifying. Like on good days, it's very rewarding. Like you got to do a new thing every single day. You get to, explore and learn new things. But on the other hand, on a bad day, it's very, challenging to stay sane doing this kind of job. So yeah, that was really tough. It really helped me because I had mentor and like an investor that basically helped me fund this company. He is, a guy in his 30s that has basically founded his company when he was 19. He is in a very different business space. He has an agency that's developing mobile phone apps, but he, still has been bootstrapping it from basically zero to 250 people. So, he really helped me,
Yeah.
find a way here. So that
Very
was
cool.
very
Very
important
cool.
for me. So I would say like maybe a piece of advice to anyone who is doing this kind of a transition from being just a creator to someone who needs to lead people and organize everything. I would probably suggest you should talk with other entrepreneurs that have been going through this process as much as you can. I mean, you can even talk to me, like find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, or I don't know. I mean, I have TikTok as well, but I don't really shoot videos. So send me a message there, and I'll be really glad to help you. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, they'll also check out your Kickstarter, CircuitMess Batmobile, and look
Oh
you up.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I would really appreciate if everybody listening to this podcast could, give us a little share. Find some, something good in your heart and give us a small share. I would really appreciate that.
Definitely.
It's still live on Kickstarter for I think it's 23 days at the time of like today when we are shooting this podcast. So yeah, and we're also going to do Indiegogo in demand after that. So yeah.
Okay, very cool. So my final question for you is, you've been through a lot. You've built up an entire company. You got 20 people or so, now, and you've done successful campaigns. You've learned how hard it is to come out with a new product. For those that are listening in the audience, maybe you could end with this note, either a final tip, a word of encouragement, if you believe that it's worth it, what really keeps you going when it comes to creating new products. We can end on that note.
Yeah, sure. That's an awesome idea. So I would probably suggest to everyone listening in the audience, I'd probably suggest that people usually ask me, like, if you could go back, like, would you still do it? Would you start your business? And, my answer is always yes. Even if all of this goes bankrupt and, I just end in a therapist chair because of the whole experience, I would still do it again because it's such a life-changing experience where you get to work with other people. You get to, express yourself in a way that you have never been able to do before. It's just amazing. It's really something that builds you up as a person. So I would probably rate this as, the single most significant experience of my life. So if someone is, thinking of doing it, you should probably try it out, and if you fail, it's also fine. If you don't fail, that's also great. But at the end, you will learn something that's really good. So yeah.
Well said, Albert. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Good luck with your remaining days here, and can't wait to hear the results as well when it comes to your marketing endeavors and what worked well for you there. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Man, I am so psyched. I am so pumped. I am so grateful that you showed up today, that you were able to listen to this episode. Someone coming from Croatia running a $300,000 Kickstarter campaign, not only one, but multiple, and just kind of sharing with you what he did, the behind the scenes, the under the hood, pulling back the curtain for you. And I think that not only is this a testament, or not only is this an example, a case study of someone who's been successful doing what they love, but also just some of the things that can go crazy wild when it comes to crowdfunding, when it comes to Kickstarter. You have no idea, my friends, like just the mega power of the Kickstarter community, of the crowdfunding community. And when you tap into that and you do it right, there is unlimited potential at your fingertips. And it is so freaking exciting. I think it excites me so much because like, it's just something that didn't exist for so long. I remember the days when you used to just have a product idea and you couldn't really do anything with it. Like you just would show it to your friends or maybe talk about it and you'd hope maybe you could raise investment capital for it. Maybe. Nowadays, you can go straight to the crowd. You can go straight to the people that want to buy it and they can back it and they can support it. It can come into existence, get manufactured, and you can deliver this to other people around the world right on their doorstep. Just imagine whether you have a tabletop game or you have a new physical gadget or a gizmo, or you've even written a book, that being on someone's bookshelf around the world. That to me is success. When you as a creator are able to get your product in people's hands and it becomes a part of their daily life or something that they're using on a semi-frequent basis, that is exciting because you're touching another human being all the way on the other side of the world. So the beginning part of this process for so long was just trying to understand what the heck was happening here, right? And I spent so many years figuring that out, demystifying that, as I say on my podcast, Crowdfunding Demystified, right? Or on my YouTube channel, which is the same name, or you just search me up, Salvador Briggman. But I spent so much time, and I'd love to just deliver all of that valuable, incredibly useful information that works specifically for your project and craft a blueprint for you. Now, to do this, we have to get a little bit more personal. We got to go for an intensive one-on-one coaching call. You got to tell me a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do, and we can craft this blueprint specifically for you. So you don't want to spend your time just hunting around. For example, if you're trying to buy a house or buy a business, or you're trying to register a trademark, trying to do these different things online or with the legal profession, you're not going to figure it all out yourself. You're just going to hire a lawyer to help you, and you're going to save so much time. Same thing. If you want to save time, if you really want to deal with a professional, if you want to make sure that you have the best shot when it comes to running one of these campaigns, you can book a one-on-one coaching call with me and we can go intensive into your specific launch and your specific product. If that sounds interesting to you, and I'm not always doing these coaching calls because honestly my life gets super hectic every once in a while, so I'm doing them right now, you can go and book a one-on-one coaching call with me and we can get that squared away ASAP. The link for that is crowdcrux.com/coaching. Again, that link is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Just go there, fill out a little bit of information, and you can book a one-on-one coaching call with me, and we can get down to business. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Please leave a rating and review on iTunes if you're listening on that device. If you're also listening on Spotify, I would appreciate something nice there. And also on YouTube, a thumbs up or a comment is always appreciated. It's kind of like a tip, honestly. Just makes me feel so good and everyone else at CrowdCrux for putting out this kind of content for you that we are dedicated to. And I promise you, I will never stop trying to bring cutting edge education information to my folks, because at the end of the day, that's the one thing I think that's holds so many people back, is just knowing how to do it. And it's so easy to me just to be able to tap into that and to bring that to you, that I would love to continue this for as long as I can. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time.